And welcome in. It's an Abundance of Naught. It is February 5th. Garrett here with Wade and Brad.
Hello.
Hello.
We made sure Wade wasn't drinking tonight so that everyone could kind of understand him.
So that's why the padlock was on the fridge.
Yes.
Yes.
It's one of the new Bluetooth padlocks.
That's right. It uses a
And
blue key with teeth on it to unlock it.
That's right.
I'll have that installed tomorrow.
Hack
Right.
the app.
Hack the app. How's everything going?
Wonderful.
Yeah, you say that, but when I bring up the Super Bowl, you're going to have a different tune. Mr. Broncos fan.
So, I hear the weather's been nice out there.
It has been nice. It's been a nice low 70s, and the sun's always shining, and it's Southern California, and it's great. So yeah, your Broncos kind of sucked.
Wow, that was embarrassing.
I mean, I realize it's not your Broncos. You just were rooting for
Correct.
Peyton because
Yes.
he used to be your quarterback, but he left you, yet you're still a fan. So I don't know what that's all about. He left you, dude. He broke up with you.
But I don't want it to be over.
But I love him so much.
But come on. So the short version of that is the Colts fans actually didn't want Peyton to leave. It was an executive decision by management, and not many of the fans supported it. Peyton is very, very, very much loved in Indiana. So when he switched teams, obviously we support our new quarterback and enjoy having him, but we are still very much Peyton fans as well.
Uh-huh. And how did Peyton do?
Peyton did fair. The outcome of the game,
2
obviously.
interceptions is fair, apparently.
No, not really. But if you go back and review the film, the throws were right where they should have been, but Seattle...
Into Seahawk hands?
Yeah.
No.
That's where they should have been? I agree.
When he... Shut up. When he released them, they were on target, but Seahawks managed to get defenders up and managed to tip the ball and throw it off course. And hey, you know what? The better team won. There's no doubt about it. That was well played by the Seahawks, and it sucked from the Broncos. That was just, the offensive line collapsed, and the defense couldn't do much to hold you guys back. So
that's right. So are you familiar with the term the 12th man?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's fun little facts in the Super Bowl. The first score of the Super Bowl happened in the first 12 seconds.
Yes.
The first touchdown by the Seahawks happened at exactly 12 minutes. The first score in the second half happened in 12 seconds. The best fans in the NFL, the 12th man.
What was it Super Bowl 48?
48.
4 plus 8 is 12.
That's right. And the final score of the Seahawks was 43. 4 times 3 is 12.
Now you're digging. Now you're digging.
A few of those, obviously it's pretty interesting with the score and stuff like that and pure coincidence, but it's pretty funny, and there's a lot of that stuff floating around. On a side note, there was a parade in Seattle honoring the team as they came home and came through the city that drew an excess of 700,000 people.
Nice.
To celebrate the team. And at 12:12 this afternoon, it was declared by the governor as a moment of loudness where the entire city just went bonkers.
Nuts.
Yeah. And I saw in an article that with the excessive amount of, or rather an abundance amount of absentee students, it was up to the individual principals as to whether those students' absence would be excused or not. So the districts weren't even enforcing it. They're like, yeah, we're just going to leave it up to the principals of the schools.
There were so many, the district just was like, nah, I'm not going to deal with this.
Yeah.
It's a party day.
Pretty much. So it's pretty crazy. I saw that. One of our coworkers sent me a link to that. I was reading that. And it didn't make many mention of any legal issues as far as people arrested due to rioting. So I just keep thinking back that if it was like an LA parade for the Lakers, there'd be cars flipped over and buildings broken into and whatever. And Seattle, there's not even a mention of anything that happened illegal.
Well, obviously the LA fans are a lot more passionate.
Sure. Passionate. That's what we'll say.
We'll go with that. Yeah.
So,
obviously I'm not thrilled with the outcome, but, it was...
it was. The Seahawks are the first team in 30, I did the math earlier, 34 years? 34 years to hold a national title for Seattle. The last one was the 79 Supersonics.
Alrighty.
So it's a big, big event for the Seahawks.
It's their first Super Bowl, right?
I think it was their first Super Bowl.
Yep. Yeah. So that was my birthday present they gave me.
Wade's birthday will be forever etched in the history books of the state of Washington.
That's right.
So pretty cool. Anything else fun and exciting over the weekend?
After the game, everything just kind of sank into despair and depression. Drinking and despondency.
Wait, drinking?
No.
Since when?
Why weren't we invited? What the hell?
Well, Bradley was
you
drinking.
Won. Yeah. No. No, a lot of time spent at the gym this weekend. Played racquetball with the kids. Lots of workouts. Got my butt kicked in one of the gym trainers does a boot camp style class. Mm-hmm. Lots of push-ups, lots of squats, lots of crawls.
Yeah, you can keep all that.
You know what he was doing, right? He's like, if Peyton can't do it, I will.
I am training for Super Bowl 49.
That's right. Happy hunting. Hey, but speaking of when I'm out in your neck, I would actually like to give racquetball a shot. I've never done it before. I think it looks like a lot of fun. We'll have to put that on the docket.
Okay. Cool.
Wade, you had an excessive weekend in that you had extra days off.
He had an abundant weekend.
He did. He was off. What were we off? Thursday?
I was off Thursday, Friday, worked.
No, you were off. You worked Friday evening.
Yeah, I was off Thursday. Thank you. Worked closing on Friday, and then Saturday opening, which is always a fun thing to do.
Yeah, that's always tough.
But then took Sunday, Saturday. Sunday being my birthday.
Sunday, Monday, you mean?
Sunday, Monday. Wow, God.
He. This is sober, folks.
I need to go take a nap or something. God. Anywho, Sunday, Monday off, and of course that Sunday being Super Bowl and my birthday. So, yeah, lots of extended time off.
It's always good around your birthday.
Yep.
Well, with that, I don't want to say out of the way, but with that section of the personal sharing done with, I know it's Wade's favorite.
Let's do the movies.
It's Wade's favorite time is personal sharing. It's just such a giver. In the movies, we've got 3 movies coming out this week. That is The Monuments Men. This is the World War II saving the art and preserving history with a huge cast. I believe it's Kevin Spacey, George Clooney, Matt Damon, John Goodman, etc., etc.
Big names.
It's some big names. It's got a 45% critic rating. We have the Lego Movie coming out. Yay. This has got big names also, and Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, and a few other decent people in there. That's got 100% critic rating.
Wow,
so of course.
They really, really liked that one.
They like Legos. Wow.
Although it was probably like one guy who reviewed it says, okay, yeah, it's good. Who knows? And the last one is Vampire Academy. This is like the next Twilight sort of, based on a book, girls in academy with a bunch of vampires, and the fight between good and evil ensues. This has no rating according to Rotten Tomatoes.
The fight between good and evil?
Yeah, because I guess vampires can be good too. I don't know what that's about.
That's new for a movie.
Right?
Fight between good and evil.
What a twist.
And as a cliffhanger, good guys win. Okay, great. Spoiler alert.
Spoilers. No. The twist is the bad guys win this time.
Ooh, that'd be a good
Spoilers.
Thing. Spoiler. And the movie's over, and I just saved you $12.
But then you see the movie from their side to actually find out they're the good ones.
Ooh.
Movie 1, perspective A. Movie 2, same movie, perspective B. You decide who's right.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Universal.
That's right.
I just doubled your money.
Studios, anybody listening?
That's right.
Patent pending.
In the box office, top 4 for box office, once again, Ride Along on top at $12 million. That sounded interesting. Frozen at $8.9 million. The Awkward Moment, this one came out last week. Zac Efron, etc., $8.7 million. And The Nut Job at $7.3. And did some additional analysis that I mentioned I was going to start doing. So The Awkward Moment had, I believe, like a 45 or 50 some odd % rating. In the 3 local theaters for us, it had 47 showtimes over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It total box office was $8.7 million, which over that breakdown gives it $191K over that showtime break. And Labor Day got a significantly less critic rating. I don't have that rating in front of me. Check previous show notes. It got 39 showtimes over the same 3 theaters. It's all in standard edition or standard resolution. It pulled in $5.2 million in the box office, which brought in $130K per show. So I'm going to do that more, especially with this coming movie list. We've got a decent spread of ratings, so it'll be interesting to see what the showtime availability is, and therefore how much money they bring in.
Cool.
See if there's a correlation. Because I'm curious.
Because you like statistics.
I like statistics. And that's it for movies. Who wants to
Alrighty then.
Anybody? Bueller? Bueller?
Anyone?
Wow.
Anyone?
I guess not. Brad, it's you.
Okay.
Kicking you the ball.
Don't kick it too hard.
Okay.
Apparently my team's not good at catching. Okay, so...
Correct.
Let's do the news.
Let's.
So we've covered a couple times the new tendencies for what's being termed the quantified self, with all these fitness monitors and heart rate and steps and calories and
statistics.
According to 9to5Mac, a report that just came out from them, based on rumors. Obviously, Apple is notoriously closed-mouthed about things. But plans for iOS 8 include an application that's been codenamed HealthBook. According to the rumors, it's going to be a very similar style app to what we currently have with Passbook, but it will be an attempt to pull together these various different sources of data into a single reference point, if you will. Reports are that it will be able to monitor things like blood pressure, hydration levels, heart rate, glucose levels. I don't believe we covered it, but Google a few weeks ago announced a contact lens that would be able to take continuous blood glucose measurements based on, well, I guess it's not blood glucose, it's the glucose level of your tears for diabetics.
We did not cover that. That sounds
correct.
Extreme.
It's creepy, really.
So instead of having to prick your finger and, measure it every however many hours, it would be a contact lens that you put in your eye, and it would continuously measure your glucose level.
Okay, now if it gave you a heads-up display, I'd just wear it for general use.
Well, but all of this is going to tie in. We're getting more and more to the point where we can collect all this data on ourselves. I could see this being a big plus for healthcare professionals, for people that are connected and into this kind of stuff. Imagine if you went to your doctor and went, hey, I've been having these symptoms, and here's the record of everything my body's been doing for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, I definitely see it's got its benefits. I just wonder if people are getting a little too obsessed. I don't know.
Well, I guess it depends on what you do with the data. This ties in some of the executives from Apple met with the FDA, who we are very familiar with, in our line of work.
Yes, we are.
Our regular line of work, the one that actually pays.
That one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And now that's not normally something they would have to do for just a basic monitoring device that's just giving you info. So that seems to indicate that they have bigger plans, possibly diagnostic devices? Don't know yet. But yeah, they did meet with the FDA. Details are sealed on what that was. But this has the potential to tie into their smartwatch. The rumored iWatch. Apple has patented technology for smartphones to track your blood pressure.
They patented it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Must be nice to do that.
Well, from a smartphone, it makes you wonder how, if you're wearing something on your wrist, I mean, this gives an enormous opportunity to fill it full of sensors. They could do heart rate, blood oxygen content, pedometers. They could do it all from the watch and tie it into the
data collection unit.
The data collection, yeah, in the health book.
It should be called iHealth. I'm sorry. Health book just sounds like a third-party deal. It should be iHealth.
Yeah. Well,
Apple?
It's a code name right now, so there's no telling. It may end up being iHealth.
Sounds like the book you get in high school.
Everyone get out your health book. Okay, got my phone ready. No, not that one, Larry. Oh. No?
Say that again, sorry? I missed it.
It's not worth repeating.
Okay, never mind.
Nice of you to pay attention, though.
You're welcome. Another big thing tying into this is Apple has hired several health, medical, and fitness experts to work on these projects, including Michael O'Reilly, a former executive at Masimo Corporation.
Ah.
Yes.
See, I say and Bradley knows why I say but our products deal directly with Masimo, or rather, Masimo deals directly with our real job products.
Yes. Which Masimo deals with blood oxygen monitors through non-invasive means, finger sensors, SpO2. So, with hires like this...
but you said he's a former executive, right? Not a current executive?
Well, they hired him from Masimo.
Oh, well then.
Yes.
That's all I got. Sorry. If you were waiting for more, there's nothing there.
Yeah, So it should be interesting to see how this plays in.
Very.
Mm-hmm.
iHealth, everybody.
iHealth. To your health.
Cheers to that.
And then into some other wearable tech that actually rewards you for health. Razer, the popular gaming hardware production and distributor, is coming out with a wrist bracelet. They're calling the Naboo. Yes, much like the Star Wars planet.
Not much like. That pretty much is the Star Wars planet.
It works it offers Bluetooth connectivity into your smartphone. Offers a more discreet screen. It's, of course, sitting on your wrist. And much like the Nike Fuel Band, it offers points and achievements for healthy activities such as going to bed early, checking out new stores, or working out. And as this also, Razer has announced that over 10,000 developers have signed on to develop new, what's the word? I don't say apps, but new features for this device. And yet there is no release date for it. But once it's on shelves, should be able to pick it up for about $50, which is actually relatively low for what this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds cool. So trying to get gamers more aware of their physique and their general health as opposed to just sitting our rear ends in front of a computer all day.
Well, it's actually, when I first was thinking about it, I was going, wow, this is stupid. But then I kind of looked further into it, and it was, you can make this a competition.
You could.
I have the 1 run mile achievement. Beat that.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely get something together with some friends and whatever and see it as a challenge, but why do you need a bracelet to do that? I mean, aside from maybe accountability or something.
Odometer reading as well?
Pedometer?
Yeah. Actually, now that I think about it, that's a really good ways. I just thought it was something you could do points, which then you could use to spend at different locations, but the only way to earn those points is to, actually exercise.
Like, points digitally that you could use to, get, Razer attire or something?
Well, not just, Razer specifically, but other areas, like restaurants and stuff like that.
Okay, well then you've got to have someone fund it. You've got to have a sponsor who, hey, this guy ran 10 miles today. That's, $1.50 in Razer credits or whatever. You've got to have somebody back it. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think maybe it's something that should, if something were to start, maybe Razer would start it on their own deal. Your achievements would go to that, and you could get, clothing or, some type of a Razer product credit.
Just a thought.
There's a pedometer device collection for children that allows them to earn points as they exercise to, quote, purchase, unquote, apps, games. It turns it into a game.
Yeah.
There we go.
They're earning their entertainment credits.
Exactly. Yep.
Gotcha. Well, we all heard the sad news this Sunday. Unfortunately, this not being the Broncos losing the Super Bowl, but rather the death of big-time actor Philip Seymour Hoffman. For those who do live under a rock, he was found Sunday with a hypodermic needle still in his arm, dead due to an apparent overdose of heroin. There's rumors going around that there's some type of really potent or quote-unquote bad string, as if there's a good string of heroin, that may have provoked this more so than just excessive use. But due to an anonymous tip that's believed to be a fellow heroin user who may have shared the same dealer as Philip Seymour Hoffman, the police raided 3 apartments and arrested 4 people who collectively had in their possession 350 bags of heroin. I'll say that again.
That sounds like a lot.
350 bags of heroin.
How much is a
sounds
bag?
like a lot.
2 of them, or 3 of them, are charged with drug possession and criminal use of drug paraphernalia. The 4th was charged with simply drug possession. None of the 4 are being charged with anything to do with Philip Seymour Hoffman directly. But again, there was a tip there. It was in Lower Manhattan in the 300 block of Mott Street. So, not sure if that's necessarily a hotspot or not, but it looks like it was 3 apartments on 2 separate floors with a substantial stash.
Wasn't if drugs are separated into bags or certain measurements that you can also be hit with the charge intent to sell?
If you got 350 bags of any quantity of heroin, you have the intent to sell.
Well, that's collectively 3 people. Why not?
Yeah, well, one of them has substantially more than the other. They didn't break it up per head, but there was a couple, I'm assuming it's a couple, male, female, ages 22 in one apartment. A gentleman at 57 years old who they said had the majority of the drugs, and a 48-year-old man also in the mix. They also said they found something like 42 bags of heroin at Philip Seymour Hoffman's residence when they found him. So, but I guess he was something like 20 years clean, and then went into rehab or went into a stint and went into rehab and apparently didn't stick, something like that.
It's not good.
Drugs bad.
Yes, they are.
That's it for drugs.
That's it for drugs.
It's the
end of drugs.
Well, no. Never be the end of drugs.
At the end of drugs, you guys would be screwed.
We don't deal in pharmaceuticals. We deal in equipment.
Yeah.
So we don't care about the drugs. Well, sort of. Professionally speaking, drugs are not a key factor in our business model.
Wow.
But don't you guys monitor the machines? Like how much the drug is actually put in? Make the machines work?
Yeah.
Do our machines do that? They monitor the...
No,
they just monitor the patient's vital signs and...
Correct.
Heart rates and other stuff.
We don't do anything with pharmaceuticals.
Nope.
All right, then. That comment is respectfully withdrawn.
Please stricken that comment from the record.
Yes.
Back to bread.
While we're on the subject of sicknesses, let's switch from land-based to sea-based. From Washington State, a group of scientists have found a sickness that is affecting starfish, or sea stars, as they're called, that they're having a difficult time figuring out where it's come from, what's causing it, how it's spreading. This is something new that they've discovered. It has been termed sea star wasting syndrome, based on how quickly the stars deteriorate. There have been various different ideas put forward, everything from radiation levels from Fukushima, changing pH levels.
This is a PG show, sir.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. We're on the same page.
Yes, we are.
Fukushima.
Fukushima. Changing pH levels in the water's getting warmer, ocean water getting more acidic. They really don't know. All of this has been put forward, and they're not sure. So the sea stars start getting sick, and as during the course of the disease, I'm not sure how exactly it works, but it affects their motor functions, for lack of a better term, and their arms start tying themselves in knots and doing weird things. And one of the last stages of the disease, their arms start walking away from the body. To the point where, you've got one arm going one direction and the other arm going the other direction. And it pulls tight and the arms keep walking until they tear off the body. At which point the sea star is weakened from the disease. In a healthy state, they can recover from a certain amount of damage. Shedding arms is one of their defense mechanisms. But the disease weakens them to the point that when the arms spontaneously remove themselves from the body, the star ends up dying within 24 hours with all its insides spilled out.
It's interesting that there's no known cause yet. You'd think they would have been able to grab some specimens and whether they, more or less committed suicide at the hands of this disease or not in a confined area, that they would be able to then test the specimen for fungus, bacteria, viral, any of that stuff. And if it's not any of that, I mean, that's really makes you scratch your head, because there's not, aside from parasites, there's not a whole lot of other things out there that cause a body, per se, living thing, to go against its own will to the point of self-destruction. I mean, there's fungal infections in the Amazon, which is what the video game The Last of Us is based on, that takes over the real fungus or parasite. I think it's a parasitic fungus. Takes over an insect's brain and causes them to try to go back into their hive to spread it further. But for them to not have any idea that this is what's going on, that's really, really strange. or we have some stupid scientists in Washington. They did make smoking pot legal in Washington now, and so, you know.
But it's not a complete spread along the coast, but they have found patches of it from, I'm trying to find, they list a couple places here. Good grief, I just had it. From Alaska to as far south as San Diego. And they have found some reported off the coast of Rhode Island and North Carolina. So it's not like this is limited to just one area.
Okay.
But it's not everywhere.
Yeah, that is...
You know, it's not like it's the whole coast. It's just patches.
Yeah, it's weird.
So they are dissecting and gene sequencing and doing all the sciencey stuff. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. They suspect that they may have caught this in the early stages and have an opportunity to watch this develop and try and have a hand in it. It's especially bad because sea stars are supposedly a very important part of the seascape ecosystem. They're what's termed a keystone species. So damage to sea stars disproportionately affects the entire ecosystem.
That's kind of a general statement. I think if you say that on just about any species, there's very rarely one species that could disappear without anybody noticing. Every species, no matter how big or small, has its play one way or another.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is interesting when you try to think, like a sea star, great, what do? They go around and maybe they eat a few urchins or something like that, big deal. But when you start looking at it as a near national and potentially global scale, this stuff adds up.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's kind of creepy, and if they've ever actually watched the starfish, basically rip itself apart.
Voyages.
Yep, rip itself.
Starfish Enterprise.
Yep, rip itself apart. And it's like you kind of get a mental image of just watching like a human body do that. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Someone's arm decides to just not be attached to the shoulder anymore and flops to the ground.
Whew. Well, we're trying to get. Speaking of dismemberment, the Elder Scrolls Online beta, it's actually the largest yet, will be going on this weekend, starting Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and lasting till Monday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, this game is under, do I want to say embargo? Or NDA? I think it's embargo. So, there really hasn't been... I'm sorry?
Pretty much
same thing.
Well, okay. So there really hasn't been any, in depth on it other than what the company themselves have put out. So if you have the email, or if you've signed up and you have not yet received an email, check your spam folder. It may be in there. If not, well, I guess there's always next time.
You didn't get invited.
But what was actually really strikes me as kind of cool is that if you were already in the beta during a certain weekend and you're getting the invitation for this weekend, your character is saved. So you can start right back off to where you're not having to start another character all over again.
Cool.
That is cool. So it's not a true open beta. It's another closed beta for invite only, but it's one of the bigger testing ones they've done to date per their verbiage.
Yes, and I think that's actually a really good way to do it because it kind of works also as a server strain test.
Well, yes. Whenever you do DRM and you do open betas, Blizzard, are you taking note? And you let people play your game, and then you go live and no one can play it for 12 hours.
They did that reasonably with the Hearthstone beta.
Yeah, but they totally screwed it on Diablo 3.
Well, it looks like they learned their lesson for this
Probably one of their most anticipated games in the last, 6 years, and they totally botched it. But hey, whatever.
not that we're bitter.
Not that we're bitter or anything.
Jerks.
Reaper of Souls. So, jumping into a conversation I always like to have, lightheartedly, of course, with people who are devout in the extreme sense of the word.
Ooh, buckle in, folks.
This is straight from Huffington Post, where Bill Nye, everyone's favorite science guy,
Yay.
takes on the Creationist Museum curator and president Ken Ham to debate evolution versus creationism. For those of you like Wade who need to be explained what creationism is, it is the belief in that God snapped his fingers and people appeared on the earth. So there was some criticism with the debate in that it ended up being a science versus creationism or a science versus religion debate, but I mean, that's kind of the point. It was said that trying to have a debate with someone like Ken Ham, who is so devout in their beliefs and is so quick to disregard any evidence that is contradictory to that belief system, is pretty much pointless. You can't have a true debate, debating facts, debating opinions, if someone's just going to brush away anything that doesn't coincide with their stance. It's just not a legitimate debate. But there was talks about trying to prove with geology that the Earth is indeed older than the Bible says that it is. So it sounds like Bill Nye was spending a lot of time trying to just get Ken Ham out of the little bubble that the Bible is the be-all, end-all history of the Earth. A lot of scientists chimed in and saying things like they were surprised at how biblical and religious Ham went. He's a creationist. Where did you think he was going to go? That's kind of a stupid statement. One, Dr. Scott Williams claims that Ham acknowledges the different kinds of species rather than variations. It seems like a small point, but it's huge from a viewpoint of creation versus evolution. So he acknowledges that there's all these different kinds of squirrels, for example. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't want to acknowledge that they have the potential to be from a similar ancestry. So he's kind of up to... He's flirting with the envelope. Dr. Scott Williams claims that Ham is very near to abandoning his creationism stance and accepting evolution, but not that Ham would ever admit to it. Bill Nye was concerned that if we keep teaching creationism to children in schools, that the U.S. Will not progress. He also took a stance saying we need to keep science in the science classroom. Trying to kind of say the same stance of, keeping God in the classroom. He's not saying that there shouldn't be religion, but, there should be limits as to what one teaches over the other. Religion is great from a moral compass standpoint. I'm not a religious person, but I feel I have decent morality. But it's not necessarily the place for true education in terms of history or the way the world works, science, that kind of thing.
It's interesting. Religion is good from a moral compass standpoint, and yet religion has been used to justify a lot of less than moral actions.
Across the spectrum, and just about in nearly all religions, with the exception of maybe Buddhism or some of those religions that are focused on reincarnation, to where you reap what you sow. There really is the belief of consequences to your actions to you. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, you go back through and look at the history. You think the Crusades were a happy time? Yeah, not so much.
No.
So, and I love watching Kingdom of Heaven. If anyone hasn't seen that movie, the movie's freaking great. Using God to justify the whims and desires of man just shows how ridiculous mankind is.
Yep.
But this debate went on for quite a while. There was a note that even 2 hours into the debate, both participants were going very strong. So it's pretty interesting topic. I mean, a lot of the notes that I got were from a blog of the event. I didn't have a chance to watch the event streamed live, and I didn't have the time to sit and watch a 2-hour video, watching the recaps. So I think it's interesting, though, that, and I do kind of agree with some of the doctors in saying that debating this subject is pointless, because you go up against someone like Ken Ham, who his way in his mind is the only right way there can ever be, and there's no swinging it. There's no changing that. Mm-hmm. And you go up against someone of the total opposite belief system with may or may not have evidence to support it, like Bill Nye, and you just don't get anywhere. So there were some comments about how, like I said, the debate went from an evolution to creationism to just science and a creationism. And I can understand why. Bill is trying to find a common ground to start the conversation off with. And if he's not getting it on evolution, he's got to regress back to something that he can try to find mutual terms with. And if that means going all the way back to geology and getting the acceptance that, hey, the oldest rock that's found on Earth is something like 4.6 billion years old. It's a lot longer than 6,000 years. Just throwing that out there. So, pretty interesting topic. I would actually like to go back through and watch the debate and see how ridiculous it might be. But pretty interesting, nonetheless.
Agreed. Definitely interesting.
Fantastic. Do you agree? Disagree? Have no opinion on the matter?
I agree. I mean, it sounds like an interesting argument to watch, but to sit down and watch it without doing anything else would be kind of annoying. Like your squirrel thing, I could just imagine one guy with a big beard, just like in MS Paint. Just like in red. Ooh, no, that one won't work. And orange? Nope, no. Brown. There we go.
Well, there's also a statement from another doctor. I don't know if it was just watching the debate third party or was actually at the debate, saying something like survival of the fittest and the missing link need to be terms that go away because they're just not really ever used appropriately or explained accurately. And he's kind of got a point in that survival of the fittest doesn't necessarily mean the strongest. It means the one with that's most adapts to the situation or can most handle the situation at hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's species of I believe it's a type of squirrel that's genetically is exactly the same from each other on either side of the Grand Canyon. But one species is considerably darker on one side because the rocks are darker. All the light ones get picked off and all the dark ones survive. Yep. So is that the fittest? Not necessarily. The most equipped, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Speaking of equipped.
Yes.
Well.
Well.
That could have got really dirty really fast.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I was going with that segue, but it sounded good. So we're just going to jump straight into an abundance of NSA.
Yay!
Yay! Insert laugh track here. So this time we're not going to cover anything new. We are going to cover something that you can do for a change.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have heard of the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
I have not.
Okay, they are a lobby group that is organized. They're a bunch of lawyers whose primary focus is in recognizing threats to and defending electronic freedoms.
I like them.
In 2012, they organized an event where a bunch of websites got together to raise awareness for a piece of legislation that was being pushed through Congress called SOPA, that was going to end up being or giving the authority to censor the internet.
Yeah, I remember that debacle.
You remember that one?
Oof. Sorry.
Ow.
a lot of the YouTubers that I do watch actually went into a day of protest where that their pages were just black.
Yes, that's the one.
How did YouTube must have allowed them to have a setting to do that or something then? Because I don't know how else you do that aside from go to every video you've ever done and change all the thumbnails to black. And some people have like 800 videos on YouTube, so...
No, I believe it was when you first went to the page, it was a black page with, support or defeat SOPA.
Yeah, so I mean, YouTube...
It was a timeout or click through to the regular page.
YouTube must have allowed an option that you can select if you want to support this or whatever, and they would do that, I guess. Anyway, back to your...
Yes. So they're doing it again. The EFF has started organizing a protest, an online protest. It is slated for February 11th, and they've titled it The Day We Fight Back. The website is thedayweFightBack.org. Links will be in the show notes. And they are trying to get online internet citizens to band together to fight back against the mass surveillance the NSA has been doing. There are 2 bills currently before the government. One of them is trying to kind of legalize, condone, expand what the NSA is doing, and the other one is to curtail it. So obviously they're looking to get support to defeat the one that expands it and encourage the passing of the one that curtails. So again, follow the link in the show notes for more information. There's information on the website. They've got some really big names involved in this.
And is this a paid participation? What?
No, it's voluntary. It's voluntary. They're trying to get the content creators, the websites, the people that like us, to push this movement forward to get the individual people to call your member of Congress, call your representative, and make them aware of, that you support the limitation of the NSA and not the expansion. It's a public service announcement, essentially.
And check out the show notes. We will be a part of this. You'll see the banner on February 11th with an Abundance of Naught on Facebook, encouraging everyone to participate and or get involved in your respective political venues.
Yes, don't forget that they were elected to represent us. If enough of the constituency call their representatives and tell them this is not okay, their biggest motivating factor is re-election. If enough people call them up and say, you will pass this or we won't re-elect you, they tend to listen.
When they have something to lose, they're willing to put forth the effort.
In short, if you pass this, you won't get a paycheck.
Yep.
For very much longer.
So, but it takes everyone.
Yep. You can't provoke change if you remain voiceless.
Correct.
What was that? I remember there's a saying on that school near us. I'm not going to say what the title was, or what the school was. The principal does put up somewhat inspirational or, intellectual anecdotes.
Yeah, so there's a big message board at a local intermediate school that the previous principal and now current principal puts up motivational phrases.
Motivational, intellectual.
Yeah.
I think the one that I want to refer to is you have to be the change you want to see in the world.
Yep, and I think that was... I'm probably going to get totally misquoted here. I want to say that was reference to Gandhi, though. I think he said something along those lines.
Sounds familiar.
I could be totally wrong. If I'm wrong, don't even tell me. I don't want to know. So yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Nice. thedayweFightBack.org.
Links in the show notes.
Yep.
And you were correct. It was Gandhi. Be the change that you wish to see in the world.
10 points to Gryffindor.
It's intelligence up 2 points.
Fact checkers.
In fact, those interns are amazing.
I know, aren't they?
We should think about paying them.
That would be good.
Well, trying to follow that will be hard, but here goes. Twitch, as we all know, the popular video gaming streaming website, has ranked number 4 in the most viewed websites in North America, according to a post in the Wall Street Journal. This puts...
Speaking of Wall Street Journal, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones is on the Wall Street Journal Fashion Edition. Okay, that's all.
Intelligence, minus 2 points.
Damn it. It's Emilia Clarke. It's Khaleesi. Come on.
This puts Twitch TV under Netflix, which is reigning top dog, sitting at the 32% of views, then following Google at 22%, and then followed by Apple at 4.3%, which is then followed up by Twitch at 1.8%.
That's pretty high for something like Apple, though, where all you can really do is mild shopping. It's not like Google, where you could spend forever on Google looking at images or maps or searching for who knows what. But, I mean, Twitch I can understand. YouTube I can understand. You're going there for entertainment. Netflix, again. Apple's the one that surprises me, though. Even at 4%, that's still a lot of traffic.
Well, and YouTube feeds into Google's numbers. They're owned by Google.
So that's why Google's at 22, because it's picking up that umbrella factor.
So that will be the answer for your quandary.
Well, it wasn't really an answer. Wasn't really concerned about YouTube. I can see why Google is high, because it's part of that. It's just that Apple being a product retailer, you can't. It's not like there's forums on Apple you can sit and spend all day on.
I don't know. There might be.
I'm pretty sure there's not.
Apple forums? Really?
Not on Apple.com.
I would be surprised if
there were. Yeah, I believe there are developer support forums, but they're not. I mean, it's all text-based. It's not high data.
Well, even still, though, if you're on a developer factor, you're not sitting there all day long looking at entertainment stuff. You're probably posing a question or answering a couple and moving on. So, I just find it surprising for Apple. Mm-hmm. I mean, great for them, but whatever.
Well, speaking of Twitch, I actually do have an announcement here. Thanks from them directly. There will be the Ender's Game tournament for StarCraft 2. This will begin on February 5th at 5 p.m. PST, ending at 11 p.m. Sorry. This will go on from the 5th to the 9th, with a show match on the 22nd at 11 a.m. PST. So if you like StarCraft 2, there's a tournament going on with some of the best players.
And it's called the Ender's Game Tournament?
The Ender's Game Tournament, correct.
Do they have to pay royalties for that?
Probably not.
Interesting. So, with that all, and I guess sort of speaking about streaming, speaking about video content and news and internet content, YouTube stuff, anything you want to announce for your channel?
Nothing really. I do still kind of want to get back into doing Awesome Knots. That was always kind of a fun game to play. But it's still more Minecraft, still more Hearthstone, and what's it called? Borderlands 2. I'm thinking about stop doing State of Decay because apparently it's matching some sort of third-party content, which I don't know who.
So something somewhere, whether it's soundtracks. I know that SimCity gets flagged for the soundtrack, not the game audio, but the soundtrack that plays in the background. So sometimes just turning that off might help. On the main channel, still got a little bit of SimCity. I'm going to start a Rust hardcore playthrough, assuming all goes well. There will be 2 Rust videos on the horizons of more of an introduction to the game itself. And that's it for the immediate stuff. Still toying with some other thoughts, but those will be yet to come. So,
wonderful.
Fantastic. Anything else we need to share? Anything need to look towards for the upcoming weeks?
No, I believe that's it.
Alrighty.
No old news, no new news.
Just news.
Just news. All kinds of news. At some point, we are planning to go see the Lego movie, so...
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are or not, but we should have some information on that.
I may wait for your review next week. I don't see it in the cards this weekend for me, but it is a potential down the road.
Wonderful.
Wouldn't mind seeing Monument Men, though.
And see, I don't have a lot of desire for stuff like that.
I think it was...
I'm sure it'd be a great movie. It's got the cast for it, but just history stuff, I don't know. It's kind of boring to me.
I like World War II, so...
Fair. Well, that'll do it then.
Yep.
All right. Well, on that note, I believe that's it for an Abundance of Naught for February 5.
Keep on gaming, everyone.
That's a wrap.
We here at Abundance of Naught do appreciate you listening in and would also appreciate you sharing us with your friends via the Stitcher Radio app and also iTunes. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and join us at Facebook. Thank you.